Fossilization makes casts and molds, but what are they? Well, you get a cast if you break your leg. And they make a whole load of bandages and plaster around your leg to hold your leg stiff. And that's called a plaster cast because your leg is still inside. When you break that apart, you've then got a mold. You could fill it with jelly, let it set, and you've got a jelly shape of a leg. And it's also true of fossils. A mold is an empty space that can be filled up. A cast is when you've filled up the empty space, hey, you've got a new type of fossil. So how does it happen? So in a muddy place, because the muddy places are best for fossilization of this type, deserts make a sort of mummification fossil, and tar pits make a different kind of fossil, all sticky. Both of those preventing the rotting away of bacteria. The one that makes casts and molds, though, animal dies, the skin, feathers, hair, they rot away the fastest. It's very rare to get those in a fossil. But the bones are much harder for bacteria and fungus to rot away. It takes them a long time. So, dead body. All of the skin, the feathers, all of the muscles, all decompose. So now you've got the bones being covered with mud as the river flowing down, carrying mud, little pieces from the tops of mountains, eroding the rocks and depositing it at the delta, at the mouth of the river, because that's where the river goes slowly. It picks up tiny little pieces of rock, called particles of mud, as it's going fast down the steep hill. But when it's going slowly, it hasn't got the movement to pick up and move on these tiny bits of mud. So they just settle to the bottom, making a sediment, a mudstone. So now my bone is covered in mudstone. Covered in mud, which gets about 50 meters deep. And when the pressure of all that mud on the lower pieces of mud squashes the mud together so much that the particles bond. That's when you've got mudstone surrounding the bone. So now you've got a rock, which won't rot away, around a bone which is difficult to rot away. A couple of thousand years later, the bone is gone. Funguses, bacteria, they got in there, bone gone. You've now got a mold. Exactly the shape of the bone, but a hollowed out space in the mudstone. Now then, tectonic plates, things move about, there'll be a crack in the rock. And in will come a solution. Calcium carbonate will be deposited out of the solution, and that will make you a cast. It looks exactly like the bone did in real life, but it's not the bone. It just gives you the shape of the bone. That's one way you get fossils. Mummification, desiccation. There are others.